on with Marianne. Hi, Marianne.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing very good. Thank you for taking the time to speak with me.
My pleasure.
Okay, so I will get right into my questions. Can you discuss your specific contributions to Tangled and maybe how they differed from your work on previous films?
Well, for me, I've been basically an actor with a pencil, an animator, who has spent my career designing, animating characters like The Little Mermaid, The Beast, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, Tarzan. So this film was very different for me. It was a story that I just believed needed to be told. It was a fairy tale that just fascinated me. Mm-hmm. And in '96, I started to develop it while I was working on the film Tarzan.
Wow.
And so I've been working on it really since then for 14 years. So it's certainly by far the longest thing I've ever done. And at a certain point, I was developing the story so that I would animate the character Rapunzel. I've always thought from like the character first, mm-hmm. then from that to the outside. I've always kind of connected with characters. To me, this character with this potential to become something, this source inside of her, that gift that had to be shared. These are things that really touched me, and so I started to develop it. And pretty soon, right after Treasure Planet in 2002, I realized, well, the only way this movie's going to happen is if I direct it.
Right.
And so I started to direct it, and it went through a period where management at that time was interested only in a very much contemporary version, and so there was a version that was called Rapunzel Unbraided, more of like a Shrek-like version of the film.
Oh, interesting.
And but there was something in the sincerity aspect of the story, the original story, that I really was missing. So after 3 years of that, we set that aside and started fresh, and worked on it until 2 years ago, where I had a heart attack and stepped back from directing, and Byron and Nathan stepped in and allowed me to focus on particularly the animation and trying to bring everything that I love about hand-drawn into computer animation. Mm-hmm. So that was my role through the last 2 years on this film. Was really animating or overseeing and helping guide animation.
Very interesting. I didn't know that it was originally going to be more Shrek-like. I mean, I'm glad it didn't turn out that way. I think it's beautiful the way it is.
Yeah. Well, the other version was really witty and clever and wonderful. They were great writers, but I've always animated characters that had this burning desire inside of them, and it just didn't feel like me.
Right.
So we changed.
So, well, I didn't realize you've been working on it since 1996. That's a really long time. When you first saw the final version, was it everything that you had envisioned? Did it exceed your expectations?
I'd say that there's the animation of the film is better than I ever could have imagined it to be. I felt like I didn't quite understand that computer animation could be just as personal as hand-drawn. Mm-hmm. And that's what I found in this film. Every time a character is on the screen, I can see the personal touches of each individual animator that I know on the film. When I watch the film, I see the face of the animator who animated it. It's a very personal, intimate expression for the animators. That was remarkable. There are elements in the film that at first I was like, no, they can't change that, because I had to give up certain things. But in the end, I find that they were refreshingly wonderful changes that I never would have expected. Like, for example, Flynn at one time had a dog when I was working directing on it, and this dog was wonderful. When Byron and Nathan came in, they changed it to a horse. And I was upset, like, no, how could you lose the dog? And I realized, no, they didn't lose the dog. They added a horse and a dog together. It was kind of like the best of both.
It is,
like a Reese's peanut butter cup with chocolate and peanut butter together. It was so funny and fresh, and this super cop character in the body of this horse dog. It was absolutely wonderful. And so the surprises of humor, I think, were the most delightful aspects to me, and everything that I'd ever wanted it to have in terms of heart was delivered in the film. So I was really, really thrilled with the result.
Well, for me, I've been looking forward to this movie for so long, and I was so excited, and it exceeded my expectations in every way. I just loved it so much.
No, thank you. I'm really happy to hear that.
Shifting gears a little bit, I don't know if they told you that I'm from the Southern Cross, which is a Catholic newspaper. Did they?
Okay, it's a Catholic newspaper?
Yeah, so I wanted to ask a few spiritual questions relating to the film. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay, what kinds of spiritual elements do you think are entangled?
Well, to me, the story started from a spiritual base for me.
Mm-hmm.
The idea that at the very beginning you see a drop falling from heaven.
Right, yeah.
Very much, for me, this truth that's in James chapter 1, verse 17, that says, every good and perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of heavenly lights. And that truth is ultimately that there is this amazing source of life and beauty and transformation that's a divine source. That's something that I personally believe in my own life. And from the characters that I've animated, I've always tried to find something true that reflects my own spiritual life. Like I animated the Beast's transformation in Beauty and the Beast, where it was very much a reflection of Christ's transforming power in us. Or Ariel's longing to live on another world, another plane. That was very true of a spiritual longing. This film was about this idea that here Rapunzel has this amazing source inside of her, and even when she feels like she's lost that power, love is the thing that unlocks it. She finds, that really was. There is a deeper connection. It's still that, in my mind, it's still the connection from that drop that fell from heaven, is still in her, and it comes out when we love someone. I guess I just kind of give you a whole perspective on it. That's how I see the film.
Right. I agree with you. It's beautiful. I know that in the original fairy tale that there are elements of her tears being sort of healing, but in the film it's just brought to this whole other level and much more deeper and much more spiritual, and I thought it was really beautiful.
Well, it was so important that tear had to be there at the end, because it was the connection from the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
That teardrop falling from sky. The sky was the same tear that was falling from her eye, and it was a gift to the world. It was a gift to him. It's why I wanted to see the story made.
Okay, so from like a spiritual standpoint, what do you hope audiences will take away when they leave the theater?
Well, to me, there's this idea that is really deeply inside of it about potential. When I early on in New Year's of 2001, I had a dinner in Belgium in a town called Bruges. And in this town of Bruges, at this restaurant, the restaurant was Patrick Devaux, which is a great little French restaurant there. Devaux is Devos. And they gave these little plaster blocks to everybody at the dinner, and it had a motto from a noble in Bruges, and it was in French. It said "Plus est en vous," "Plus est en vous," which is "There's more in you." And I realized that's, to me, the message of this film. That's what I want people to take away. I took that little motto away with me that night, thinking this is what I want everybody else to take away when they see the film. And that's that moment with Rapunzel when she thought she's got nothing more left. She finds, no, that connection is springing up from an eternal one, that there's always more in us, because it's not just us. It's actually a gift from outside of us that's flowing through us. That's, to me, the message.
Right. Very nice. So does your faith affect the way that you work? How does it do that?
It certainly affects absolutely every part of my life. It affects the way I'm a father with my children, my husband with my wife, and certainly the way I am an employee at Disney. I try to give absolutely everything I can possibly give. It's never about what somebody's asking me to do. It's always try to give more, try to go further than that. I was given such incredible opportunity here when I was taught by what Walt called his 9 old men, the guys who did Pinocchio and Snow White, and they passed on this whole legacy to me. And I didn't do anything for that. I just happened to be in a right spot. And so I feel a responsibility to do that to other people, to teach and to give back. And ultimately, I guess I look at my life and I realize that the very best things in life that I've ever had are a gift to me. I got into animation. My portfolio was sent to the wrong school by accident. I was accepted into the school of animation. I met my wife in line at a movie. She was standing right behind me. I had no idea. I happened to come to Disney at a time where they were looking to teach young artists to pass on this baton, but that hadn't happened in 40, 50 years at Disney, and there I was at the right moment. I just am so thankful for God's grace and blessing towards me, and it affects everything that I do at work. I try to give my best.
Okay, well, that sort of ties into my next question, what you've been discussing. Starting out at Disney, you were like, the young guy that looked up to the older ones like Ollie Johnson and Frank Thomas. Now, sort of, you're in the position where all these other new animators are looking up to you. Not just in the studio, but like I'm sure anywhere you go, there's young animators, who know who you are, know your work, who ask for like advice or things like that. What sorts of things do you try to do, or do you tell them?
Well, I try to pass on what Frank Thomas, Ollie Johnson, Eric Larson passed on to me. I mean, the number one thing was they would say the secret of Disney animation is sincerity.
Right. Yeah.
Which that was a total mystery to me. Like, okay, what does that mean? I mean, I would try to draw with sincerity. Push harder on my pencil. What does it mean? Sincerely tried to do something better, but it still looks so bad. And I slowly, watching the way these men animated and the way they talked about the characters, particularly, they would refer to the characters as if they were somebody that they knew personally. And I realized when they say sincerity, that means to believe in the characters that you animate. That you have to just believe them. And so I really try to pass that on. I pass on to to the animators what my dad, who is also a cartoonist, he created the Family Circus, Bill Keane, and he's also a very devout Catholic, but he was always telling me, Glenn, draw what you know, draw what you identify with, and that's what the animators were always telling me, the 9 old men. And so I encourage the animators, don't copy Disney animation. Look around at life around you. Observe what God has made perfectly. Discover it might be just in the way a little girl sits on a chair with her legs crossed and her finger twirling her hair. There's some little spark of magic right there. Try to get that, Or keep a sketchbook with you and drawing life around you constantly. Learn to see, learn to observe, and that becomes the source for your animation.
Okay, so what are you working on now, or what do you have coming up?
Well, right now, I'm working on babysitting my granddaughter as we speak. I'm running around taking care of my daughter, actually. Claire is when you see Rapunzel paint in the movie, that's my daughter, Claire's painting.
Oh, really?
And, yeah,
that's
even
wonderful.
at one point, Claire hid the name of our granddaughter in Rapunzel's paintings.
Oh, how neat.
Matisse, like the painter, that's her name. So, I guess I'm saying to you is I want to spend time with my family. It's been a long road. I have some ideas for future films. I really believe that fairy tales need to be part of Disney's future.
Yes.
I want to participate with that. I'm not sure what the next step is going to be, whether it's going to be in computer or hand-drawn. For me, I know that I absolutely love hand-drawn animation. I love to draw, and I know I got to do that. I've got to get back into the drawing and the animating for me. So I'm looking at maybe an approach where you can take, by using the computer, you can really liberate hand-drawn to become something that we've never seen before, but still celebrates the hand-drawn line.
Okay. I definitely think fairy tales need to be in the Disney line. It's just, they're the staple of the studio, and even if every movie isn't like that, it's too important. And there's so many wonderful ones. And
I'm so happy to hear you say that. When I think of Pixar and Disney together, it's like it's a marriage in a family. There's two, but there's still two individual characteristics to Disney and to Pixar. They don't become one. Like if I had to boil Pixar films down to one phrase, I would say, wouldn't it be cool if films, like imagining toys could talk.
Right, yeah.
And with Disney, to me, it's Once Upon a Time. These are films about make-believing, it's a real world that you enter into. And that's why I believe that has to be part of the future. I'm so happy to hear you say that. We feel that too.
Good. Okay. Okay, my last question is, now that you've sort of tackled, I think, hair really well in animation, what do you think's the next big thing?
This hair thing has been a long journey for me, from Ariel animating her with all that hair, and then with Pocahontas with her long flowing black hair, and then Tarzan with his dreadlocks and Beast with all the fur, and now with Rapunzel. That kind of is the ultimate hair. I guess I got to find a film now with about a bald guy. I don't know. My next challenge, to me, it's always about the animating a character with a burning desire in their heart. I know that will be there. That's the thing that I find the most interesting in anything that I want to do.
Okay, that's all my questions. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me. Do you know if there's any way I can send the article to Disney to pass along to you?
No, I would love to see it, yeah. It's a very unusual perspective that you are writing from, but it's the one that I find the closest to my heart. Thank you.
If you send it to me, I can make sure Glenn gets it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, those are wonderful.
Thank you so much, Mr. Keane.
Thank you. I really look forward to reading your article. And what is your name again?
Marianne.
Marianne what?
Peluso?
Marianne Peluso.
Peluso.
Pelusa. Okay. Well, I'll read it.
Oh, wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you. God bless you.
You too. Take care.
Okay, bye.